Make this holiday season one to remember with Goldbelly, your one-stop shop for America's most iconic foods shipped nationwide. From the original turducken to the viral pie Kagan with decadent layers of Kagan pie, Goldbelly has everything to wow your guests with the click of a button. And with Black Friday around the corner, it's the perfect time to pre-order unique gifts that ship right to their door. Use promo code GIFT for 20% off your first order on goldbelly.com. The holidays have never been easier.
Welcome to Complete BS, the official podcast of couch coaches everywhere. Not just football. It's every sport that ruins your parlay, wrecks your fantasy week, and still brings you back for more. Buzzer beaters, blown leads, and brackets in flames. Yeah, we're all over it. Unfiltered takes, armchair analysis, and enough bold opinions to fill a playbook. Hosted by Brian Schmuck, sports junkie, the Saban of stats, and your official voice of, I could coach better than that. Let's go.
Welcome, Couch Coach Nation. This is the weekend of the year, the weekend we've all been waiting for. It's the best weekend of college football all year. Rivalry weekend is here. Remember, we've got a big Thursday night matchup in the American with Navy taking on Memphis. Friday and Saturday are loaded. We've got a lot to cover. We're going to make as many picks as we can for a bunch of games. So let's dive in right now. Miami at Pitt. The Canes have more to play for. Canes win.
Yeah, I got the Canes winning, although I think it's going to be like 30 degrees there when they play. So, good luck with that. But I got the Canes winning. I don't doubt that they hit their little parlay that they need to get into the ACC championship game.
UNC at NC State. UNC's a bad football team. NC State's at home, coming off of a win against Florida State. Wolfpack, get it done.
Yeah, I agree. Wolfpack get that done at home.
Florida State goes down to the Swamp to play Florida, and Florida State announced Mike Norvell is coming back. I think his players truly love him. That's all settled. They want to see him get bowl eligible and keep playing. Florida State gets their first road win in 2 years since playing at Florida in 2023.
Florida State can't win on the road. They're going to lose another one in Florida.
Virginia Tech at Virginia. This is the Commonwealth Cup. Virginia wins, and they're in the ACC championship game. Cavaliers get it done.
Yeah, I think the Cavaliers get it done too.
Kentucky at Louisville. This is for the Governor's Cup. The Cards are really beat up. Chris Bell is out, their star wide receiver. They're going in the wrong direction. UK, if they win, they make a bowl game. Kentucky gets to the bowls.
UK's not looked very good recently, but neither has Louisville. I will take Louisville.
The Palmetto Bowl is Clemson at South Carolina. Both teams have had really disappointing years. Close game. I give the edge to home field. South Carolina gets the win.
I think Clemson started to look better the last few games of the season. I'm gonna ride with Clemson to pull this one off.
The Territorial Cup is at stake. Arizona at Arizona State. The Sun Devils are on a 3-game winning streak. Arizona, they're on a 4-game winning streak. It's at home. I give the edge to the home team in this kind of rivalry game. I like Arizona State Sun Devils to get the win.
I'm gonna go with Arizona. I don't trust Jeff Sims to get it done in a big time game. Arizona's look better. I'll take Arizona on the road.
Indiana at Purdue. The old Oaken bucket is what they're playing for. This game's not going to be close. Indiana will get the lead and sit on it. It might not be a huge blowout because they're just going to be methodical and get the win. Indiana on their way to the Big Ten championship game and the playoffs.
Yeah, Indiana's going to take this one pretty simply.
USC at UCLA, the victory bell. UCLA's not ranked, so Lincoln Riley can win this game on the road. USC's got way too much talent to lose.
Yep, USC easily.
Northwestern and Illinois, they're playing in Champaign, the land of Lincoln Trophy. Illinois has lost to every team with a pulse except for Southern Cal. Northwestern, they played teams tough even in defeat. They're a 6.5-point underdog. I've got Northwestern pulling the upset.
Interesting. I'll take Illinois to finish off the season strong. Started off strong, finishes strong.
Paul Bunyan's axe is what they play for when Wisconsin and Minnesota get together. The Gophers are at home with a good defense. They should get the win.
Yeah, I like Minnesota in this one.
The Egg Bowl is one of the most intense rivalries in college football. Ole Miss and Mississippi State, even when these teams are 2 or 3 wins, it's still a really good game. You've got the Lane Kiffin distraction going on with Ole Miss, but again, Ole Miss has got talent all over the field. Too much for them not to win this game. I like Ole Miss, but this game's going to be close. It always is.
Yeah, this is a tricky spot. Mississippi State's looked good at times this year. Levy's got them playing hard. I think they're headed in the right direction. It's on the road. Ole Miss has got too much to play for, and they got too much talent. Although the Kiffin rumors could play a part in this too.
Vanderbilt at Tennessee. Tennessee's defense is horrible. Vanderbilt can score. Diego Pavia, he's still in the race for the Heisman Trophy. Vandy's a 2.5-point road underdog. We've got Vandy going on the road and getting the win.
I don't even know who Vandy's best win is this year. It looked like maybe South Carolina and LSU were good wins. They're not. Same can be said about Tennessee, I guess, but I'm going to take Tennessee, their ability to pass. Vandy struggles against the pass a little bit. I'm going to take Tennessee.
The Iron Bowl. Alabama's on the road at Jordan-Hare against Auburn. Auburn needs a win to make it to a bowl game. Alabama needs the win to make the SEC championship game and stay alive for a possible bye in the playoffs. If true freshman Deuce Knight can play like he did for Auburn against Mercer, it could be an exciting game, but the Bama defense is not Mercer. I expect Bama to win, but by less than a touchdown.
Yeah, I agree. I think it could be a trickier game than they expect, but I believe Bama will win. They've got too much on the line, and I believe they're the better team.
Now we get to the three big matchups of the weekend. Texas A&M at Texas. This is the Lone Star Showdown. Texas A&M is a 2.5-point road favorite. All of Texas's losses have been on the road, and they played much better at home. Texas is trying to get into the playoffs with 3 losses, and A&M's looking to make the SEC championship game and hold on to their playoff bye. A&M's undefeated, but they've played the bottom of the SEC in getting those wins. Their best wins are a pair of 7-4 teams in Missouri and LSU. They look really vulnerable against South Carolina, and they had to rally from 27 down to get the win. Arch Manning, he's coming off the best game of his young career. He's grown as the season's progressed, and don't look now, but statistically, his numbers and Marcel Reed, who they say is in the Heisman race, statistically, they're pretty even passing. The difference is Reed's yards on the ground. Can Texas A&M be physical enough to push them around and get the ground game going? AV, how do you see this game?
Yeah, it's an interesting one, man. I've been kind of a little bit on the Arch Manning train on previous shows. I'm a big fan of Texas A&M. I think that at times they've looked like the best team. You make a good point about their schedule. So it's really hard to say. I will say this, that I believe Texas A&M has the best combination of playmakers in the country. We talk about Craver, Concepcion, Marcel Reed. They have running backs. I don't know that they have to push them around. I think they can get people in space and still make enough plays. I don't trust the Texas offense to score consistently. So I think Texas A&M is going to win this game, but I wouldn't be surprised if I was fooled a little bit by Texas A&M because of their schedule and it doesn't play out the way I think. But I'm going to go with Texas A&M to win this game, something like 27-21. I think Arch Manning will have his moments, but I think also he's still learning, and Elko's defense is good, man. They've proven to be pretty good. So I'll go Texas A&M.
If A&M can make this a physical game and run the ball, which they've kind of struggled to do at times, A&M would get the win. I think Texas is more of a finesse team. Even though they've got a great stable of running backs, they're pretty finesse. They're not physical at all. They get pushed around against better teams, against big teams. They want to throw, and with the way Arch is throwing, that's their way to win this game. It's going to be close. If it were in College Station, I'd be going Texas A&M. It's in Austin. Arch is looking better. I think he's going to throw for a bunch of yards. The Longhorns get it done 28-27. Ohio State at Michigan. These two teams don't even refer to each other by name. This game is just simply called the game. OSU's a 9.5-point road favorite, and that says a lot about what Vegas thinks of the Buckeyes when they're on the road in a rivalry game against a team that's 9-2. Michigan's won 4 in a row in this rivalry, and each time they were ranked below Ohio State. Last year, they were unranked and beat the eventual national champions. Perhaps it's because the two best teams that Michigan has played are losses, Oklahoma and USC. Their best win was at home to 8-3 unranked Washington. Ohio State, their schedule hasn't exactly been murderer's row either, but they do have that season opening win against Texas, and they beat Washington on the road. The difference there is 1 point in these games between what Michigan and Ohio State beat Washington by. The Ohio State defense has been stifling all season. They've allowed 16 points to Illinois. That's the most that they've allowed to any team this season. They're averaging less than 8 points allowed per game. They've kept 4 teams out of the end zone for a game. They've only allowed 7 touchdowns in the second half the entire season. AV, how do you see this game?
Yeah, man. 9.5 point favorite in this game seems really crazy. But when you look at Ohio State, you just see NFL players all over the field. And it's hard to just imagine Michigan scoring enough points on them to win the game. That defense is unbelievable. There is no overrating based on opponent like there might be for Texas A&M. Like that defense for Ohio State is really good. And I just don't trust the Michigan's offense to be able to put up enough points to beat the team that on the other side of the field has Jeremiah Smith and Julian saying that group of people that are going to put up some points. Part of the interesting thing about Ohio State, though, is they've been pretty, I don't know, just take care of business in all their games. It seems like every game is a 40-10, 34-3. They're not getting these 70-point blowouts. They're just handling business. So I don't know. There's something about it that doesn't make you think like they're the greatest team ever, but I don't see them losing anytime soon. And that's the playoffs and everything. I think they're the best team in the country, and it all starts with that defense. And I don't think Michigan has enough to overcome that.
Michigan, they're powered by the run. Ohio State wants to open it up and pass. Oftentimes in this game, the team that wins the rushing battle gets the win. If that holds true, Ohio State's going to need to get things going on the ground where they're averaging about 50 yards less than Michigan per game. Both teams give up less than 100 yards rushing to their opponents. As you were saying, Ohio State's been very businesslike all year long in their march through the season and to the playoffs. I think they're built for the playoffs. They know they just need to take care of business, get a win, move on, get a win, move on, and we'll show up in the playoffs. Julian Sain's gotten better as the season's progressed. The defense has been lights out. I went against the Buckeyes in the season opener. I'm not about to do it again. I've got Ohio State winning 20-14. I'll make my pick for Georgia Tech, clean old-fashioned hate a little bit later in the show when we've got Georgia All-American Bacarri Rambo joining us. AV, how do you see clean old-fashioned hate?
You know, we talked a little bit about it after the Georgia Tech loss to Pitt. You know, it's a problem to me when every week your quarterback is your leading rusher, and by far, I don't think they have enough diversity in their offense this year to beat Georgia. Haynes King is an unbelievable player. They've got some decent players on the outside in their running game, so I think they will score points. Georgia's defense isn't as lights out as it has been in the past, but I don't see the Georgia Tech going in and beating Georgia. I'm going to take Georgia something like 41-27. Georgia Tech's defense is not good. Georgia's going to put up as many points as they want to probably, and Georgia Tech won't be able to keep up with that.
It'll be a really interesting game. This was the game of the year last year that went 8 overtimes. We'll see how it all shakes out. Let's make some money on Rivalry weekend. You got some bets for us in the book club?
I do, man. I do. So I know me and you are going to disagree on a couple of these based on what we just went through all the games, but I'm going to take UF minus 2.5 against Florida State. Florida State can't score on the road. Florida's defense is going to be one of the better defenses that they've played on the road. They may not get to 17 points. Florida's got more talent on offense than Florida State has on defense. I know that they made the announcement that Norvell is going to come back, so maybe that calmed things down, but that place is a bit of a circus. UF has more reason to play. They want to keep Florida State out of the bowl game. So I got UF minus a 2.5 at home. I'm going to go Tennessee minus 2.5 at home. I think Tennessee's ability to throw the ball on a suspect Vanderbilt pass defense will be the difference. Tennessee's at home. Rivalry game, close spread. I'm going to take the home and lay the 2.5. And then I'm going to take Clemson plus 2.5 against South Carolina. The beginning of the year, South Carolina looked like they could be a really good team, and Clemson wasn't going to be very good. And fast forward to the end of the year, and they're trending opposite ways. I think it's flip a coin, but I'm going to go with Clemson on this one.
For my bonus pick, I've got Oregon minus 6.5 at Washington. Washington played Michigan and Ohio State and scored 7 and 6 points, respectively. Illinois is the only Power 4 team with a winning record that they've been able to score points on. They scored a lot of points on really weak teams. Oregon's got a strong defense, top 10 in pass rush. They're coming off a big win against that really high-powered USC offense. There's no let up here. 6.5 is not enough points for Oregon. They're going to cover this, win by over a touchdown. I see it closer to a 14-point win. Go with the Ducks and take your money. Stay tuned. We'll be right back with Georgia All-American Bacarri Rambo. Welcome back, Couch Coach Nation. I'm excited to have Georgia All-American Bacarri Rambo join us on Complete BS. Bacarri grew up in Donaldsonville, Georgia, where he starred at Seminole County High School as a dynamic two-way player. Known for his explosive athleticism and instinctive playmaking, he became one of the top prospects in the state and earned the attention of major college programs everywhere. His versatility, leadership, and nose for the ball made him a standout long before he stepped onto the college field. Rambo signed with the University of Georgia, where he developed into one of the most feared defensive backs in the SEC. After redshirting his first year, he quickly worked into the starting lineup and became a cornerstone of the Bulldogs secondary. His breakout season in 2011 was when he erupted for 8 interceptions, one of the best single seasons in the nation. He earned first-team All-American honors. Over his career at Georgia, Rambo recorded 16 interceptions, tying the school record and solidifying his place among the greatest safeties in program history. His blend of physicality, ball skills, and a flair for the dramatic made him a fan favorite and a leader on some of the strongest Georgia defenses in history. Bacarri entered the NFL in 2013, selected in the 6th round by the Washington Redskins. He went on to play for Washington, the Buffalo Bills, and the Miami Dolphins, carving out a multi-year career highlighted by his continued ability to create turnovers and deliver momentum-shifting plays. His time in the league showcased the same effort and intensity that defined him in Athens. Back in the Athens area, Bacarri is a successful mortgage loan originator and investor. Bacarri, it's great to have you on Complete BS.
Hey, I'm glad to be here. Thanks for the invite, man.
Absolutely. Well, I always like starting off talking recruiting, and coming out of Donaldsonville, what was your recruiting process like? I had read that you considered Tennessee and Florida State along with Georgia. Were there any other schools, and how did you end up landing on Georgia?
Yeah, it was more schools. I had offers from like Florida State, Georgia Tech. During the time when Paul Johnson was at Georgia Tech, he gave me my first offer. My 9th grade year going into my 10th grade year, he was at Georgia Southern, and I went to a football camp there to learn how to run a triple option. I won the most valuable player. He offered me that year. And then later on down the line, he ended up at Georgia Tech and came back to recruit me, but I was already locked in with Georgia. And I had probably all the SEC schools, Alabama. I remember Coach Smart getting me out of my Spanish class to talk to me about recruiting me at Alabama and offered me a scholarship there as well. But one thing stood out with me for Georgia is just the family atmosphere here that I experienced, and just throughout my whole recruiting process I experienced along with Coach Bobo. He grew a relationship with my dad. Even Coach Rick, they grew like real strong relationships with my dad. Willie Martinez. Being from Georgia, I always wanted to represent my state. I didn't want to go to no other state and represent them and give my all to another state. So just being a Georgia Bulldog and getting an offer from them, and it just made the decision for myself a lot easier.
Was there a Pop Warner coach or high school coach that stood out to you and really impacted you as a young man, learning the game and trying to figure out life?
I can say my dad been with me, like coaching me from reg league until I graduated high school. My dad, he established his work ethic in me, and not to get comfortable, I always try to get better, get 1% better every day at him. And also my middle school coach named Donald Moore, he always taught me the biggest room in the house is the room for improvement. And I always used to question myself or question him about why he was pushing me so hard when he wasn't doing that for the other kids during PE. During PE, it's my time to go shoot basketball or, hang out with my friends. But during that time, he always had me in the gym or in a weight room working out, trying to get better, trying to get that 1% better. And also my high school coach, Alan Ingram, he was a huge factor in my life and helped me develop into the football player I am today. So those 3 guys, I would say, really saw something in me before I even started myself.
So I spent some time on the staff at the University of Georgia before you got there. Coach Rick is a huge mentor of mine. While you were at Georgia, you had some off-the-field issues. How did Coach Rick show up for you in those moments, and what did you learn from him?
Well, he showed up in a tremendous way, just being so far away from my dad. He was a phone call away, but I needed the presence of my father here. And Coach Rick stepped in during those times and helped, filling that void that I needed at the time to, just someone I can go talk to, someone that I can get a hug from. He was that father figure during the time of those situations that was brought upon me. He's a great, loving guy. He helped build each and every player to the man they are today. He didn't see us as only football players. He saw us as humans, as sons, as fathers, as future husbands, and every role that we may take, he had us prepared for.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree with you more. Back to the field in 2011, your All-American year. What clicked with you that you were able to have such a dynamic year, 8 interceptions, and solidify yourself as a real ball hawk?
I just think I understood the game plan a lot better. My position coach during the time, Scott Lackatoes, he kind of trained me to watch more film to understand what offenses was trying to do and who they was targeting. Once a quarterback sees a certain coverage, what they go, what routes or what a weakness is in the coverage that would help us to not allow big plays. But the main thing that I could point out for my success in 2011 would be just the whole defense and all. They made my job a lot easier by the way they performed and the way they, understood the playbook and got after the quarterback by creating pressures or creating sacks and creating a time clock in the quarterback head that decreased because we was getting so much pressure with, Jarvis Jones and Alec Ogletree and all those guys. With this, the way they performed, it made my job a lot easier.
You had several really long interception returns in the season opener versus Buffalo, a 99-yard pick six, and then another 94-yarder versus Georgia Southern. Are you reading the quarterback's eyes the whole way? What do you remember about those plays?
Just playing quarterback in high school gave me an advantage to think what quarterbacks think, or I thought the same way they thought, or, like I said before, Coach Lagatos taught me how when quarterbacks see certain coverages, where the weakness is and where they are trained to go with the ball. So it just allowed me to play faster.
In the 2012 SEC championship game versus Alabama, the one that got away from Coach Rick, for me, this was the national title game. I think the whole world knew whoever won this game was going to beat Notre Dame easily. What do you remember about that game?
What I remember the most is just the feeling of being defeated. It's just certain plays I could have made during that game. I can't say it would have changed the game, but I felt like I could have played better. So I'm the type of guy that once something happens, after a game, win, lose, or draw, I'm the type of guy or player that goes look in the mirror and point out things that I could have done better myself. So I would honestly say what I remember most is just the feeling like I let my team down because I didn't perform to the standard that I saw myself doing.
Do you have a favorite memory from your time at Georgia?
Playing in between the hedges. I think that's the best memory that all Georgia players can vouch for. There's no better feeling than playing in front of 90,000 and seeing a sea full of red in the stadium and just hearing the fans roar and just the energy that is being brought into that place. I wish every person that's a huge Georgia fan could experience that.
Georgia's had a long history of really talented safeties. Looking at the current day Dawgs, KJ Bolden is primed to be an absolute menace next season. What would you share with him that he needs to work on in the offseason to take his game to the next level?
I just think he got all the attributes. I sit there and watch him. I talked to him a couple of times. He has a lot of good attributes. He's very instinctive, have a good IQ for the game, ball skills, can type it in the open field. I really would just say, just continue to study, become a student of the game. My high school coach always told me 90% of football is played above your shoulders. So I would just say become more of a student of the game. And he got all the other tools that it takes to be a successful defensive back. I think he's headed in the right direction. And I'm not saying he don't study the game, but I would just put more and more time into the game.
From 2009 to 2012, you never lost to Georgia Tech. What does clean, old-fashioned hate mean to you, and how does it stack up with other rivalries like Florida, Tennessee, or Auburn?
It's a huge game. I feel like everybody is a rival to me every time I stepped in between the hedges or I stepped into their stadium. Anytime I saw a different color logo on a helmet, I just saw them as a rival. To win your state is something huge for us. But just to send the seniors out on a good note, I don't think it's anything compared to just playing against Tech. That in-state rival means a lot, even though, Florida and Auburn are bigger schools and the games are a lot closer between us. I still think just winning in the state and sending the seniors out on a good W on the regular season is the best way to go.
I remember when I was there on staff, Coach Rick would say when he got the job and he would go to booster clubs and he would be in the north part of the state, everyone would say, you got to beat Tennessee. He'd go to the eastern part of the state, you got to beat South Carolina. He'd go to the western part, but you got to beat Auburn. He'd head down south towards Valdosta. Hey, Coach, you got to beat Florida. But everywhere he went, they said, whatever you do, you got to beat Georgia Tech. So You've got these rivalries just across the state, but everywhere he went, they all said, you got to beat Tech.
You got to win. You got to win, and you got to protect your turf. So I think just beating Tech is a huge deal when you're defending your home turf.
We'll go ahead and get into the game. We've got Georgia and Georgia Tech from Mercedes-Benz Dome in Atlanta. This game would look a lot better had Georgia Tech beat Pitt last week, but it's still a big rivalry where anything can happen. This is the 110th edition of Clean Old-Fashioned Hate, and last year we had what many viewed as the best game of the entire college football season, an 8-overtime thriller that Georgia won 44-42. Coming into that game, Georgia Tech was 7-4, Georgia was 9-2, and this year we've got Tech at 9-2 and Georgia 10-1. Georgia's a 13.5-point favorite. Tech is 5th nationally in total offense, and they're 17th nationally in rushing with over 215 yards per game. They average more passing and rushing yards and points than Georgia. But defensively, Georgia's 14th nationally and 5th in the nation in rush defense, allowing only 87 yards a game. This is a real strength versus strength. They're 12th in scoring defense, allowing just 17 points a game. The Georgia Tech defense, they're averaging 41 points that they've given up in their last 3 games where they're 1-2. Pitt had their way with them and was able to do whatever they wanted. Bacarri, how do you see this game going?
I actually see the Dogs dominating. I'm not being biased. I just think our offensive line and our defense is coming together at the right time. That's what makes us who we are. It's just the right time we are clicking. The younger guys are getting more experience. They are going through those trials and tribulations to make them a better player. And I think the game is won in the trenches, and that's just where our strength is. And it showed the offensive line is getting better and better each week, but the defensive line been doing that all year. So I think they might have a hard time trying to run the ball on them, but the quarterback King, he's a great player, and I like what I see for him. So we're going to have our hands full trying to slow him down. But I think with the coaching staff, we'll do a great job with having the kids prepared and making adjustments throughout the game to slow King down as much as we can to come out with the W.
Yeah, Haynes King is a great player. He's dynamic, but Georgia Tech has to find other folks that can run the ball, not just King. For Georgia, keep getting hits on him. When he's running the ball, make sure there's 2 or 3 guys on him, putting him on the ground. When he's dropping back, make sure you're getting a hit on him every time. Those hits will add up in the fourth quarter. I had a lot of questions about Georgia coming into the season. They had lost so much talent to the NFL, especially on the offensive and defensive lines. But as the season has gone on, they keep getting a little bit better week after week. And one of the things that we've seen with Georgia in big games especially is they get a lead and then they just lean on that offensive line that is massive, and they push those guys around and use that ground game. Coach Bobo's been calling a really good game in the back half of the season, getting that lead and then just run the ball. And I think that's where we're going to see it. I expect Georgia to get up early on Tech. I think the Georgia tight ends with Delp and Lucky will be open across the middle early in the first half. Stockton will have some shots with them. And once they get up, then Georgia's just going to go to their patented run game, lean on the defensive line, and continue to maul you. I've got Georgia winning 38-17.
Yeah, I was thinking 38-42, Georgia 17, Georgia Tech. It's going to be, tough, nail-biter at the beginning, but I think with our coaching staff, we do a tremendous job with our second half adjustments, and I think we'll find a way to slow down King and adjust to the game plan that they've been getting those big plays with, if they get those.
Well, we've got my score at 38-17, Bacarri Rambo in at 42-17. We both have the Dogs beating the Jackets in Atlanta. You can follow the Complete BS Pod on X and Instagram. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe wherever you get your podcast. Bacarri Rambo, thank you for joining us on Complete BS.
Thanks for listening to Complete BS. Be sure to subscribe, share, and follow us online. And tell us what you think of this episode. Use hashtag CouchCoachNation. And let's keep the conversation going.